Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and before we get going, don't forget, if you want to join the private group and get the video plus the extended video and no commercials, go to daixrp.com to join the Patreon, or click the join button right below any of my YouTube videos and you can join through YouTube if you'd prefer. Don't forget, folks, the market is getting pretty lively here. If you want to have someone you can actually talk to when you're ready to make trades, if you want to have institutional custody, if you want to have the actual liquidity that's there in order to be able to execute your exit strategy, Caleb and Brown is where I'm doing it. They're my new affiliate partner. You can go to xrpwealth589.com and it will forward you right here to my Caleb and Brown page, and you can click the sign up today button. Look what we have here.
Hi, I'm Bree Teresi. I'm a model and a crypto enthusiast. The excitement is building. XRP Las Vegas 2025 is almost here. Learn more about the evolution of finance and Web3 from top industry leaders. I have my ticket. Do you have yours?
Now is the time to get your ticket at XRPLasVegas.com and check out the conference agenda. Also, builders and developers will have a shot at $25,000 in prize money with the best Web3 project ideas in a Shark Tank-like pitch.
Let's go, XRP community. Lock in.
Lock in, folks. XRP is holding up pretty darn well. It's at $2.53. It sure does feel like it's on the launch pad, just warming, those engines warming up, doesn't it? Check this out. The Crypto Quant CEO says dark stablecoins could rise as government control over traditional stablecoins increases. And I say the Bitcoin maxis are starting to realize the stablecoin competition for Tether is here. They liked their Tether Bitcoin pumping racket. The level playing field. We're gonna have to fix that. The level playing field. Sometimes you get to typing and you just miss it. They like their Tether Bitcoin pumping racket. The level playing field is not their friend. If there's anything that's a dark stable coin, it's look into Tether's past. How come that's not dark? Consensus 2025, which is in Toronto this year, starts tomorrow, and you'll be able to watch the live stream. I'm sure there'll be a lot of good stuff coming out of there. The Modern Investor. Now, folks, XRP did a 4 or 5 times back in November, December. If it just does a 2 times from here, it's going to take over ETH. Is there anybody listening to my voice that doesn't think that's going to happen? I can assure you I do. XRP, the only altcoin smart money is positioning next to Bitcoin. This is from Wisdom Tree. Why XRP may complement Bitcoin. Oh, who's said that before? Actually, it can solve all Bitcoin's problems and was designed to do so. In achieving portfolio diversification, for ways to diversify their crypto exposures, some investors no longer want to be overexposed to single mega cap cryptocurrency and are actively looking for suitable altcoin to sit alongside it. The taxonomy helped us identify XRP as an altcoin that could sit alongside Bitcoin. I would say Bitcoin could sit alongside XRP. And then here's a great reminder from David Schwartz.
But our first question is around, really what's going to be driving value to XRP, particularly kind of around the cross-border and sort of more like enterprise payments and financial use cases.
Yeah, so you guys can all see the question on the screen. I think the big thing that's gonna keep XRP like in its central role is its privilege placed on the XRP ledger. XRP is the only token that you can pay transaction fees in. It's the only token that every account can receive. The payment engine, entering pathfinding, always looks for XRP liquidity first. And XRP is auto-bridged through the order book. So XRP liquidity is sort of preferentially taken over to other types of liquidity just from order crossing. So XRP is always going to have a special place as a sort of liquidity tool on the XRP ledger.
Uh-oh. Then there's this. Elon Musk meets President Trump and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman inside the Saudi royal court. Just a little reminder that crypto, in my opinion, was created to back up the US dollar and to replace the petrodollar. Here's Ripple. August 2023, Central Bank of Saudi Arabia teams up with Ripple to transform cross-border settlements. And then here's a little interesting document. The emergence of cryptocurrencies could potentially threaten the dominance of the petrodollar system or replace it. Because cryptocurrencies are not tied to any particular country, they could provide an alternative to the US dollar as the world's reserve currency, or stable coins could prop up the US dollar. However, it remains to be seen whether cryptocurrencies will be widely adopted as a means of payment for oil. Remember, I'll remind you, probably 5 years ago, I was told that XRP was created to replace the petrodollar and to prevent World War III. Sure feels like we're in the middle of watching a lot of that unfold. They had the crypto roundtable yesterday at the SEC.
A key priority of my chairmanship will be to develop a rational regulatory framework for crypto asset markets that establishes clear rules of the road for issuance, custody, and trading of crypto assets, while continuing to discourage bad actors from violating the law. Clear rules of the road are necessary for investor protection against fraud, not the least to help them identify scams that do not comport with the law. A key priority of my chairmanship.
Now, here's what else we have. Everybody's talking about tokenization because tokenization is what's going to dwarf the whole Bitcoin thing.
Tokenization cannot reach its full potential without legal clarity. Issuers and transfer agents continue to be unsure about whether a crypto network can be the master security holder file or a component thereof for purposes of the Exchange Act's transfer agent rules, and even where state law has expressly provided or contemplated the use of a crypto network in connection with the maintenance of securities ownership records. Further, the Commission's special purpose broker-dealer statement, which defines crypto asset security to encompass any security.
All right, and then this was Robbie Mitchnick, the guy who runs BlackRock's digital assets division and the guy that came from Ripple right after he did a valuation with Susan Athey on XRP.
I want to thank the Commission for hosting this event today, and also to with whom we've appreciated.
And by the way, he's sitting next to Christine Moy. You'll remember her. She was in charge of JP Morgan's blockchain initiative, then went to Apollo, where Jay Clayton had gone after he left the SEC. She works basically for Jay Clayton now. Gives me an all the world's a stage vibe.
Appreciated the engagement and earnest work over the last many months, and in many cases years on this topic, and also I hope that you'll accept my apology for my contribution to ruining Christmas of 2023 and New Year's of 2024 in the frenetic run-up to the Bitcoin ETP launches that next week. Our purpose at BlackRock is to help more people invest better, including democratizing access to investing by enabling more people to have access to investment opportunities in an efficient way. And we have a strong belief that tokenization and digital assets have a potentially very important role to play in that. Given I'm last on this opening, I won't repeat some of the many thoughtful and incisive points that my fellow panelists have made here, but rather I'll focus just on one specific tangible example to illustrate the potential of this technology. And that is in the context of the tokenized stable value yield fund that we issued as a firm in March of 2024 in concert with Securitize, who serves as our tokenization agent in that space. We think tokenization agent is a more suitable term here than transfer agent in this context. And what a stable value yield fund issued.
All right, so tokenization's the theme, and then here from Subjective Views, this is from the global head of digital assets at Goldman Sachs.
On that point, where do you see
This is all adult talk. I'll get to the children in a second.
the biggest short-term impact for blockchain in traditional finance, and what is that next wave of disruption going to look like?
Well, I mean, for kind of the US, I think the stablecoin bills that have gone through, the two different houses, I think, will have a pretty profound impact. Many have talked about stablecoins being the kind of killer app, but I think if the regulations allow this to be something that can be easily and efficiently adopted by financial institutions, that's something that you may see, kind of more actively used. So it accelerates the use of digital currency for the big players. And I think that, to me, is something that is super exciting and something we're obviously watching very closely. I think more broadly, there's the market kind of infrastructure bill that's kind of been focused on towards the end of the year. So kind of institutions like us, permissibility is kind of key. So that ability to, be able to potentially trade, kind of, or at least use stable coins and then touch the underlying on balance sheet, have that permissibility to do that. So I think there's kind of two kind of key steps there, just the way that they're kind of the administration's sequencing it, but I think both are exciting.
What do you think it's going to mean for financial markets and financial services?
I think it's a really good question, and I think when you think about what is the driver for us investing and spending time, in that part of our business, I think kind of resilience is kind of key. You just look at kind of a lot of the way the markets operate today. There's very strict kind of cut-off times. This ability to actually kind of execute transactions when you need them to happen to the minute, hugely powerful, particularly in the context of intraday. So I think that's kind of resiliency. I also think risk, we've kind of talked, this is kind of key. Risk, when you look at kind of collateral markets, there's a lot of kind of embedded risk that sits in those. This technology allows you to reduce significantly a lot of that. And, that can be through just more seamless allocation of collateral, be that money market fund tokens, for example, or tokenized treasuries. And you can do that with a T+0 pricing. A lot of today's derivatives and other kind of financial instruments are collateralized.
There's that word again, derivatives.
With products where the pricing is probably T+1, T+2. So you need to hold kind of bigger buffers to obviously kind of, manage that risk. This ability to be more seamless with the allocation of collateral becomes very powerful. And then I think, the other one is transparency. As we look to kind of, looking at the speakers, the next few days, you've got a lot of the buy side, and there's a big focus kind of on, private funds and a whole slew of other different types of funds. And that is super interesting because if you can tokenize and really kind of scale, that marketplace, that really opens up a new investor base and the ability to kind of airdrop data and things. People can all seamlessly get real-time data, which, just isn't as efficient, today in many different markets. And then you can probably see how that can start to be traded more actively. So I think there are a number of different things there, but there's a lot of exciting development.
Okay, now that I've shown you the adults, here's the children.
One of the most important things to keep in mind is if you just look at Bitcoin, it doesn't matter, right? Bitcoin doesn't care. It's back in the six figures with a lot of room to go. If you compare its primary functional use case, which is actually a check and a balance on the lack of accountability in fiat unit creation, we still have a long way to go. So gold is a 20 trillion market cap. Bitcoin is still 2 trillion despite functional superiority to gold. It's much harder to steal, much easier to store, much easier to instantly transport, and more importantly, you can actually audit it. So I don't know if you saw, but there's an estimate that said that auditing Fort Knox would take 44,000 hours and approximately 18 months to complete. I think it'd be a lot nicer for the American people if they could just go to a handful of auditable Bitcoin addresses on a blockchain explorer and see exactly where the American people's Bitcoin is.
Folks, no matter what the Bitcoin people say, I can go ahead and tell you, a lot of these financial institutions are going to tokenize Bitcoin, and they won't like it, but it solves all their problems. It's going to happen, and they're also going to tokenize gold, because you could just tokenize Bitcoin and gold on the XRP ledger and solve the gold transportability problem and the Bitcoin speed, cost, and scalability problems. This is the dirty little secret. Okay, we're going to go into daixrp.com, which is the Patreon. If you'd rather join through YouTube, click join below, right below this, any of my YouTube videos, and you can join through YouTube if you prefer. You'll get the video plus the extended video with no commercials. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. I'm about to put some bacon on.